Hey guys, it's Ghostly Rich here today, and guess what day it is today? Today's the day that I put on the new turbo back exhaust from Unitronic. So again, we're going from the turbo back, and this is going to be awesome. So first thing I'm going to want to do is, if you have a manual car, or standard as I should say, you're going to want to make sure you put your handbrake on, and you want to make sure that you may have it just completely locked up there, so that way we can jack it up. Again, handbrake for sure, and everything, so that way we can jack the car up safely. You don't want your car rolling away when you're doing this. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jack up the back, so that way I can see the back portion and see how it's going up to the front. And then we'll go from there, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so as you can see I have the car jacked up, but I'm looking towards the front end. Looks like I'm going to probably do this in two pieces. If you have 4 axle stands, it'll probably be a little bit easier for you because you can jack up all 4 corners. But I can only do 2 at the moment, so what I'll tell you to do is, you see these chassis braces here? I'm just going to undo these. As you can see, it'll make it a little bit easier, cleans up the trough. Now you see, sort of, the lighting, I'm just waiting for it to just see how there's that O2 sensor right there. If you have some penetration oils, you're going to want to shoot some on there right now, and if you want to, you can go all the way along to all the O2s, and just there's that one, and there's one near the top up there. I'll shoot that one later. I got some super penetration oil, so I'll shoot those once I get to that half of the car. Right now, as you can see, it's in 2 pieces, so I'm going to undo here, and I'm going to undo this piece right here, undo these 2 pieces, and then I'm going to start popping out the rubber braces. As you can see, I popped one out to make sure I can do it. You might need a pry bar for this. If you do, all you're doing is you're putting your pry bar right here and then prying back on it, and you're trying to get this nub free. So as you can see, the nub will be on this side, and you're just getting the rubber past the nub. But stay tuned. I'm just going to remove this brace. This brace is held on by 13 mil bolts, it looks like. And after you pull off the 13 mils, this side I know is a 17. Once I get it off, I'll see what size this side is. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so I removed 2 of them now, just to make it easier. So this coupler was over here. And this was another 13 mil. You just loosen the bolt off. And after you loosen the bolt off, it's up like this, sorry. And after you loosen the 13 mil out, you just kick it over that way. You don't need it on here anymore, just leave it over there. Then right here, you're going to have a 17 bolt and a 17 head. You'll see that the nuts on this side, what I did is I loosened off the nut, because the nut was actually super easy. Just loosened it off with this wrench, and then after I loosened the 17 nut off, the bolt was just here, and as soon as I undid the bolt just a tiny bit, it all popped out. If you notice that it's spinning, you are going to need 2 wrenches or a way of getting the 2 apart. Once you get the 217 or the 17 bolt off and the 17 head out, this should just fling out like so, and then you just grab your coupler, be careful, bam. That's just relaxing on that other brace. If it wasn't there, then I might have been in trouble. But yeah, like I said, just have that resting there for now. So now that I've got both halves disconnected, I'm going to work these grommets off. Now again, like I said, you can soap these up if you want. Like go like this, put a little bit of soap on the barb, and then you're just going to work it over. If you get it on your hands, it's going to be annoying. But yeah, just work it over, put a bit of soap on here, and then work this off, and that way this hanger's off. Once that's off, I'll start working my way up to the front. Alright guys, so this one right here, same thing. As you can see, it's just in front. There's one right here. You're going to work that one out next to with some soap if you want to. That's all I'm going to do. And then I'm going to go over here. On this side, you'll see your tip right here. Nice tip. And then you're going to work it out right here. And then there's one on the other tip. So work that one out too. And let's get her going. Alright guys, so if you take a look here, there's this anchor mount. And if you're looking at the tip and you look up, see how there's these 2 bolts here? I undid them, they're 13s. If you undo them, so the exhaust will be up there like so. You undo those 2 13s, lower this down slowly. As you can see, I'm just using the jack to hold the back end right now. And then after you get this undone, the other side is just a simple hanger. So all you're going to do is work that out. I'm going to do that right now. Again, if you put some soap on it or work it off this end or this end, doesn't matter. We're going to take these rubbers off anyway and install them again afterwards. So again, first thing you're going to want to do is just undo those 213 mil bolts after you get them out. So lower it down. We can work this out after. You can see I've already started to work it off. Just make sure you get it nice and lubed up and then get her off. And that's what I'm going to do right here too. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so the next thing you're going to need to do is we're going to have to gut this pipe out of here, because we're going to have to release some pieces for the turbo back. So the first thing you're going to want to do is we're going to disconnect our MAF here, and then after we disconnect our MAF sensor, just because we don't want to be breaking this wire, we're going to actually remove a couple of the pipes here. Now if you have a stock stock intake, I've got a video on removing your stock intake, and I'll post that right here. But as you can see, I have the unitronic one here, so I'm going to have to remove this. So stay tuned. I'll show you what pieces you need to. Good starter is remove this piece right here, loosen up your clamp right here, and then after you loosen this one up, you'll remember there's a pipe right here, or this PVC right here. We're going to have to remove that so we can pop this hose off right here. And this screw right here, the top one, we're going to remove that too off the top of the turbo here. So not the turbo, but on the pipe, so that way we can remove this one piece of pipe, because this pipe is going to move while we work on the back end of the turbo back exhaust, like the down pipe. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so to remove your MAF, it's pretty easy. You just pinch this and move it up. As you can see, there's a clip right here. You're just squeezing it, moving it up, and as you squeeze it and pull up, it just lifts right off. And after that's out of the way, then all you're going to do is go over here, and you're going to see this bolt right here. Or, well, this again is if you have the unitronic one. I've loosened this all off so I can move this. This was just a 6 mil unless you want to use a Phillips, but I like to use the 6 mil because it's, well, a little bit easier. Now as you can see, this pipe's already off because I did it. You know, if you're looking at it, you're going to see these little ribs on it. There's 4 ribs. You grab it by the ribs, and after you squeeze it, you pull back. The ribs are what are holding it, so if you just squeeze and move it back, be careful. You don't want to wreck that O-ring. You can see that orange O-ring. Don't wreck it, so leave that over there. And again, be extra careful with your MAF. It's so sensitive. Now the next thing, the only thing left is I've got to get in here and get this bolt. I'm going to figure out which way I want to go about it. Stay tuned and I'll show you. Alright guys, so once you get that T25, that's the size of the Torx, that's right here. You're going to bolt that Torx, which is T25. Again, this is for if you have the unitronic intake. I don't know what all the other intakes are, so yeah. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to slowly move this off of here after you've loosened these completely off. I'm going to move the silicone back. And then right here, I'm going to lift up and out of here. Again, make sure the pipe is disconnected. Make sure your MAF is out of the way, because you do not want that to be in the way. And then, yeah, we're just going to slowly work this off of here and get that whole big portion out of the way. Alright guys, so I decided to keep the MAF 100% safe. I just ended up taking off the whole elbow. The only thing I did is I took off this clamp and of course the one that was down there, so that way we were able to remove that whole end of the pipe. Right here, MAF's all right there. Now if you have some extra shop rag, you want to plug the hole that this side came into, just to make sure nothing goes into the turbo. Best thing to do. Or just throw a rag over top of it, just so no debris falls inside of it. Okay? So, as you see, take a rag like this, and we're just going to go over top the turbo. And throw that over top here, just to make sure. And the whole reason why I don't shove stuff inside there is some people like to do that, but I've seen people, again, special type of people, that forget to pull the rag out and then they put it back together. Yeah. So I always leave it overlapping, so obviously you can't put the intake in with that rag on, that kind of thing. Next thing we're going to have to do, I believe, is remove a heat shield that's up here, which it goes down to the bottom. And that'll allow us to get a better access to the turbo downpipe. So give me 1 second. Alright guys, so the next thing you're going to want to do before we do the other stuff is we're going to want to disconnect this. Now, as you can see, there's this hook here. I'll put it back in so I can show you. Okay, so you pop that out. You literally just lift it out of this hook. Here, this is just a Christmas tree barb, so you just grab this plug and you wiggle it a little bit and it comes right out. See? Christmas tree barb. See this plug? You're gonna wiggle it back and forth carefully. As you can see, it just slowly works out. Boom. Disconnect this. This is your O2 sensor. Your O2 sensor's right here. And you wanna disconnect this. There's also one on the bottom, but I'll show you that once I'm underneath the vehicle. To release these, it's just like the MAF. Just press, pull, and then I can't do this with one hand, but that's how you're gonna do it. Just press here, release, and pull that out, okay? So just do that, and then there's gonna be 4 bolts up here. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can either remove this heat shield, or if you feel down here, again, you're gonna have to go with your confidence, you'll feel the top into the housing up here, and you're gonna feel the 4 bolts that are up here that are bolted onto the side of your turbo. You're gonna release those bolts so that way we can get up here. I'll tell you the size of them once I start doing that, but give me one sec. I'm not gonna quite release these yet because I wanna make sure that that O2 sensor down there is unplugged first. So just wait one sec. All right guys, so the next thing you're gonna see this whole side here. There's 4 of these little 10 mil nuts on here. They're just plastic. You just loosen them off. You'll see them all on the one side. They're actually all the way. There's 4 of them in total. But you can see I did that one, this one, this one, and this one. And that gave me enough room to get in here. Now, let's see if we can show you properly. I'm gonna pop this out. So, this is your O2 sensor connector. As you can see, it's got another one of the slip barbs, which are right here. You just slip it out of the barb, move it, and then you'll see this thing, this plastic thing, which will be on a bolt right here. All you do is you pull it off there. It's just a barbed one. So once you get it out, do what we did up top. Again, I forgot to say up top, if you want to make this a little easier after you get it out of the holder, again, you're just going to slide it out of this holder here. You can use a flat blade, and you slide the flat blade in over top of this to help you press down. Be very careful. Plastic gets brittle. I mean, if you break it, it sucks. So again, if you're not going to use your finger, use a flat blade, and you just weave it over top and then press down and then pop it out. Okay, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so if you look up front, take a look. See those 4 bolts? Well, my hand's in the way now. See how you see those 4 bolts? Those are 4 bolts we're going to be undoing. Those 3, sorry. The 3 you can see visible right here, and there's one on the other side. So what you're going to want to do from this point is, if you want to, try and see if you can get any from back down here. This would be a lot easier if I had a hoist, but again, I'm trying to make it like if you're doing this in your garage. So the next thing you're going to do is loosen those off, and if you can't get them from down here, get them from up top. Loosen those off, and then after we get those off, make sure everything's done to this point. You don't want your O2 sensors or anything getting caught. And then after we get those undone, we'll be moving this over so it'll slide off the posts. Those are bolts so that are on the posts of, I guess it's our turbo right there. So you're just going to unbolt the bolts from the post. And again, if you want to, you know, give those a little bit of time because that does get warm, shoot some penetration grease on those nuts and then just let it soak for, say, you know, a good 15 minutes. And if you're going to soak those 4 bolts, make sure you soak your O2 sensors too, so that way all that gets all loosened up for you. Okay, so loosen them all, or shoot some super penetration on there. That'll help, and then give it about, say, 15 minutes to absorb in, and then start taking those bolts out. Again, you can take out the axle guard if you want, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to undo those 4. I can weave my arms around there, no problem. And then I'm going to work this out really slowly and watch my O2 sensors. I'll debate about taking them out beforehand. I might just take out my O2s before I even move this, because breaking an O2 is too expensive for me at this point. Okay, so just shoot your penetration and go from there. Alright, so as you can see, I got 2 of the posts up. Now we got to get the 3rd one, which is in behind and against, sort of near the block. So, to get at that, if we go over here, you're going to see the Driveshaft Plate, which keeps heat off, I guess, from the drive shaft. So what you're going to want to do is
It's 16 mil. Sorry, I meant to say that. I've been saying 17 mil a lot in here. I haven't stripped any bolts or anything, but I've been using a 17. But you're supposed to, from what I've read from the Unitronics instructions, you're supposed to use a 16. So something for you to, know about when you're doing this is 16. Okay, so 16 and 16. Literally, I got them off the ratchet super easy. There's two 16 mil bolts, and after we get this out, which I'll do right now, boom, get that out from under here. Was just on the other side of that shaft. We should be able to see it. Okay, so I'm going to take a look here and give me one moment. Alright guys, so this is how easy this is. I had to use a extension and an extension, and for one of the bolts you're going to have to go under one of the silver pipes and over the other, and then feel for the bolt. You can feel it with your fingers. I'm not going to try and get the ratchet back on it like that. And then the other one, if you feel where the oxygen sensor is, or was, if you pulled it out, you'll feel a nut right on the other side of the bung. You're just going to undo those two up here, and then the two down below like I showed you down there. And it's super easy. You don't have to remove that drive shaft cover if you don't want to. I did it so I could actually see the position of this, and if you have a second person, they can tell you if you're on the bolt. So it's one of those things where you don't have to remove it, but if you do, then if you have a second person, they can tell you exactly where it is. Other than that, these studs are definitely not bolted too tight, so it's not like you're going to have to wrench on these to put them. Plus, I'll give you the torque specs that I get from Unitronic that they put in their instruction manual. So all we're going to do from this point is undo those 4 posts, and it's time to work out the turbo back exhaust. So just one moment. So as you can see, those 2 bolts are out at the bottom. You've seen that we have the 2 bolts out at the top. What I'm going to do is you can either use a pry bar to get these out, or what I'm going to do, which is the easy way, I'm going to just get this thing out of here, and then I'll remove these out once this whole piece is out, because then it's all free. So we're just going to remove these. I believe they're 13s. I'm going to check right now. If they're not 13s, then chances are they're 16s. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so what I've done here is I've slid. First thing I did is, I'll show you with my hand. I grabbed it, I slid it back, slid it off the posts, slowly brought it down the bit of a slide we've got going on, and you'll see what I mean when you take yours out. Once you do that, hold this up with your shoulder, as I'm doing right here, and I'm going to lower this last support. Once I take out this last chassis support, all I'm going to do is slowly let the pipe down, and I'm going to drop it slowly onto the ground. So take this out, slowly lower it so the tip hits the floor, and then from there, or you might have to do this tip first. This tip might have, that's the only reason why you can't get it out this way. So you'll drop this end down, and then after that end drops, then you'll slide this forwards, and you can just lie it down, and guess what? The old exhaust is out. Alright guys, so this is what a oxygen sensor wrench looks like. Borrowing one from a friend. It's a 22. If you take a look, well, I'm covering the 22, but yeah, it's gonna slip on over the wire here, slide on, and then if you're not me and you haven't locked the wrench, it just goes like this. You hold it down. Okay, that one's still in there good. I'm gonna need both hands, so, but that's how you work it, okay? Alright guys, so if you take a look, I've got them out. Very important thing for you to know is when you get these things out, treat them like your MAF sensor. Don't let them rest on anything. Like I said, I'm just resting like this on the edge of the box. Don't let grease, don't let any dirt, don't let anything get on the front of those sensors. You don't want to screw them up because codes suck. Okay, so now let's prepare to put in the new exhaust. Alright guys, so as you can see, this is the new turbo downpipe right here. And this is, as you can see, it's just it comes with all 4 bolts right here. It comes with the flange, or the gaskets I should say, sorry. And then, so that's the new one that's going to come with it. And that's something different. These right here are new clips, which are going to clamp our exhaust all together. And our new rings, which are going to help us clamp our exhaust together. There's 2 more rings inside here, as I can see inside that package. So we're going to definitely use those too. And if we go over to here, you can see there's the long pipe
That's going to be right there. And then right here is the rest of it. I've just got this out here because that's the secondary part. First part that I want to get done is I want to get the downpipe on. Once the downpipe's on, I can put my front end back together and build the exhaust back. And building it back is actually going to be super easy. It's just getting that downpipe in. So that's what I'm going to work on first. If you already know what you're doing, go ahead from here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the new gasket on. It only fits on one way, and same with the downpipe. So just get her all ready, and we're probably going to want to prep this up for our O2 sensor. Now, if you don't remember, our white or the grayish cover one goes up top, and then on that mid pipe, which is right over there, that one's going to get the all black one. Okay, so stay tuned. All right, guys. So as you can see here, I tightened her up with our tool, which was just right here, and I just did it with my hand, and I just went by feel. Again, I'm just know that I'm always scared about, you know, when I'm doing these, just because I know anyways it's got a crush washer on it, so I tightened it so the crush washer was nice and tight, and I know it'll hold it. So that's done now, and I know that's going to hold my O2 sensor. If I notice that it is giving me any problems, you know, I will tighten it up. But to tell you the truth, I know through heat and everything, it moving up back and forth, it's going to get a nice seal. I also seen when you pull this out, the bungs that they put in here, so that way it doesn't change, I guess, the threads, or nothing gets in the threads. They have almost like a red gel here, almost like a Loctite or something. So I undid that, and I used that, or it was already, when you unbolted, it's all along the threads. I left it in there, tightened this nice and tight, and again, all I did is I did it with the wrench. I was hoping that there was torque specs, but after reading this thoroughly, I didn't see any torque specs for the oxygen sensors. Or the only thing they give you torque specs really for is the 7 pounds on your center clasps. These things right here. So apparently not supposed to go over 7 pounds with that. So I'm not going to do that. So I gave this a nice little tighten with my hand. Now I'm going to go and feed this in with this. And of course, don't forget, you have 4 new turbo bolts. So make sure you use the new bolts when you put it on. Okay, so let's go get this wired in. Remember, it only goes one way, so make sure that this goes on the same way as your gasket. Okay, perfect. Alright guys, so as you can see, it's in. I want you to see this cross brace. As you can see, I have, you'll see that there's a beveled end and a flat end. Flat end down, beveled end up, and as you can see, it's boobies towards you. That's what I'm going to call it, boobies. As you can see, the boobies go right here, and then you insert the nibbles. Once you do that, you're going to tighten up those, or what I did is I tightened them in a star pattern. Made it a little bit easier. After, and I torqued one a little bit down here, and I just, you know, it's annoying, it's tedious where you're getting up and down, but I got them all done, and they're all in now up there, and this is all tightened down. And again, all I did is, if you remember when you tighten these, it wasn't that tight, like those bolts on the there, so I didn't wrench on them or anything like crazy. I just went with my hand, and I went until, okay, that's tight. That's all I did. Don't wrench on them and torque on them, because you don't want to, of course, break a stud or anything like that on your turbo. If you do, then I guess you're going to have to upgrade to a KO4 earlier than you thought. So, other than that, I've got that all done. Now I'm going to go put my intake back in. And I'm not really going to show you much about putting the intake back in because, well, it's pretty darn easy. Alright guys, so as you can see, the exhaust is back in. It was pretty, not exhaust, the intake is back in. See, I'm tired. Just make sure you tighten them, this one down and this one down. Those are the two that I removed. I know I showed removing this stuff, but again, you didn't need to do this. It was just right here, and make sure that you plug your MAF back in, otherwise you're going to have some crazy codes. The next thing is to make sure before you put this in, as I said before, make sure that you've plugged back in your oxygen sensor and you slide it back in here. It's pretty easy. I mean, if you've got any questions, go back and rewind the video a little bit. And then if you take a look here, I've got our 1 bolt back in. These are all tightened up, and again, our tube is in. Once that's all done, you're all good up here. Time to jump underneath and put the rest of the exhaust together. Alright guys, so if you take a look here, I got this still popped down, and I plugged in our next O2 sensor, and it's right to in here.
as you can see, just let you see how I have this clip. This goes right in here, and then the clip goes in there, and then remember, just push it back onto the bolt post. It's all good. Now I got the first V flange on, which I'm going to show you how to do the next one. I just wanted to get that one done and over with so I knew how they're going to go before I start showing you. Again, all this is already torqued up for me because I wanted to make sure the downpipe was all in first. And then, so how this works is you have a ring here, and then you have a, there's this metal ring. It looks like a ring you'd put around your wrist. And what you do is you put it in between. There's a groove in the pipe. And once you put it in the groove, then you put that sandwich ring around it. So this goes right here. You'll see that there's a groove in the foot here. I'm going to bring it back over here, sorry. Like I said, if I had a hoist, it'd be a little bit easier, but see? It sits right in this groove. If you're looking at it, you'll see the railroad track. And then you put you sandwich the other piece of the pipe on, and then you put that clasp on. So I'll show you in a second. Like I said, if you want to just do this, put that in the raceway, and then from there you button up the other side next to it, and then you wrap that clamp around it to hold it together. And then if don't tighten them all down until your whole exhaust is together. Once your whole exhaust is together, then we're going to be tightening them to 7 foot-pounds of torque, and you don't want to go much more than that, otherwise you'll break the clip and that sucks. So just hold on and we'll show you. Alright guys, so I've already put this other one up into the rubbers, which is, again, that's what you're doing, just like when we pulled it out, putting it back in the rubbers. I'm not going to really show you how to do it because it's super easy, and if you've already did what I said with the soap, then they'll slip in pretty easy. Now as you can see, we have an opening right here, and you're like, oh no, why? Well, that's because there's this joiner here. So what you're going to want to do is, I'm going to put you'll see that it slides in. I'm going to put this sheath so that way it slides in like this. So that way when it blows through, it blows out through here, and the thicker part is over top of it, so that way the exhaust isn't trying to push out through the lip.
3, 2.
But yeah, so if you just wait a sec, I'm going to get this all ready. I'm going to get one side in, and then I'm going to show you how the whole ring and little round gasket. Hey guys, so this is the clamp. As you can see, there's a bolt on the end. You're going to loosen it once you get it off. Firing, that's down. And now this is open. You want it open like this. Perfect. After that's open, see this? You can see that raceway in here. You want to get this in that raceway. So as you can see, I've got the two pieces right here. I'm going to meet them up. So it's just like that. And then I'm going to pop this around. As you can see, these clamps can be a bit of a dick, but yeah, it's in the other, it's in the other half. And then just like that, just like this. And then now we're just going to make sure that it's through. And then we're going to take our nut and we're going to put it on like this. And again, just doing it loosely. And then now that, as you can see, if we look down the exhaust, it's all in. Now that we know it's all sitting right, I'm going to bolt in the pipe over here, the pipe mount, make sure that this is all sitting right. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to tighten up all our clamps. And as you can see, I have them all they're on the same side. Make sure you do that too. It makes your life a little bit better. So now I'm going to just go through and tighten everything up and make sure, as you can see here, I also have that drive shaft heater or heat cover.
Shield.
Yeah, heat shield. There we go. I'm going to make sure that I bolt that back on too. But other than that, yeah, from here, just wait till I bolt this all up and then we'll see what it sounds like. Alright guys, so as you can see, everything is tightened. Everything's to what we said, 7 pounds, foot-pounds. Everything's nice and done up. I put on the chassis braces again. I set the tips to where I wanted them. How you do that is with that center coupler that we set up down over there. You kind of push it in and out and see where you want it. I wanted my tips sort of hidden, so that way if I get rear-ended or something, it's not game over for my exhaust. And that way it hides the logo a little bit. I don't want people to see my exhaust and be like, oh, that might be worth something taken or something like that. So it's all hidden away, looks good. It's not too flashy. Now it's time to start it up and take a listen. All right, guys, here we go.
Ready?
Yeah. That sounds good, man. You can blip it a bit. Alright guys, so that's a first look. I'll do a driving video later. But yeah, the driving video will be pretty sick. Anyways, I hope this helped you install it. Again, I'm going to do another video of the after. And of course, now that we've got the exhaust in here, it's time for stage 2. Yeah. Okay, so stay tuned for that. And of course, I'll do that in a separate video, and I'm going to also do a separate driving video. Thanks again for watching. Press the like button if it helped you out. Of course, subscribe for more GTI videos. Hey, so, quick thing for you. Just throwing this in at the end. If you are doing this turbovac exhaust, you're obviously going to be doing stage 2 software. Since you're doing stage 2 software, it'll clear check engine light. If you are not doing stage 2 software, you're gonna have to mess around with spacers on the oxygen sensors, because the first thing that happened is as soon as I got over 130, it right away popped up and said, hey, you've got a ECU problem. Not an ECU problem, but an oxygen sensor is noticing that you're not being efficient enough. So we fixed it. Other than that, I just wanted to let you know that after you do stage 2, that goes away. So make sure you do your software upgrade. Cool.